Om Shuklam Varadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Yenakshara samamnayam adhigamya maheshwarat kritsnam vyakaranam proktam tasmai paninaye namaha vakyakaram vararuchim bhashyakaram patanjalim paninim sutrakarancha pranatosmi munitrayam Vagarthaviva samprikto Vagarthaf pratipattaye Jagatah pitaro vande Parvati parameshwaro Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Welcome everyone. So we were seeing, in our last class, we were seeing Sat-śabdha. So today we'll move on from Sat-śabdha. We're going to be seeing Sat-śabdha, which is Shatru ending. So that will be on page 138, page 138 of your white book. Been seeing this. So before we do that, let's look at our Maheshwara Sutra. Om A I Un Relik E Ong I Ouch Haya Varata Larn Nyama Gananam Jabhanya Gadadash Jabagadadash Kapha Chatha Chatatav Kapai Shashasar Hal Iti Maheshwarani Sutrani. And our supratayas. Su O Jas Ort Shas Ta Bhyam Bhis Nge Bhyam Bhyas Ngasi Bhyam Bhyas Ngas Os Ni Os Sup. Okay. So as I was saying, today what we're going to see is what we call Shatru ending words. These are on page 138. This is very exciting because this is where the word Sat that we see. Sat is a very important Vedanta word, which will actually, very interesting how prarabdha, how destiny has kind of put this together, because in Bhagavad Gita, what we're going to be seeing is the word Sat. Nasato vidyate bhavaha, and the word Sat comes there. And so it's really interesting how this pairing has come, which we're going to be seeing Sat in both classes. We're going to be seeing this word Sat. So it's nice that, so what we'll do is we're going to look at this verse, and when we get time, we're actually going to analyze the verse. Nasato vidyate bhava. So we'll do the grammatical analysis of this word as well. So that'll be nice. It'll be a good pairing. Before we do this, 1 second, I just need to get one more thing. Let me grab this 1 second. Okay. So here the word is Sat, as I was saying. Now you notice how it doesn't automatically say Sat. This says Shatru ending. So you see that at the top, Shatru ending. Now Shatru is a specific type of suffix. So those words which end with the suffix Shatru are what we are talking about today. Now we're specifically going to be looking in Punlinga these words are made the same way in Strilinga, but then Strilinga, we add a long E and it becomes like Nadi Shabda. Okay, so we're really going to be looking at, so that would be like Sati. Sati will decline like Nadi, but Sat, we're going to be looking at today. It has a peculiar declension, but not too different than Bhagavad-Shabda, which we've been seeing. Okay. Now, yeah, so there's a question about, we see this, you see this, it's what we call Chandra Bindu, the little moon and the dot. So we get the anuswara, that nasal sound, shatru, right? You get it in your nose. But that bindu doesn't have much meaning for us. It doesn't have much meaning for us. Really, when these words were in Panini Sutras, this Chandra may have meant, for example, like when you have intonations, when you have swaras, that was a way of, one, memorizing this, but it also probably, it gave an indication of what's the word I'm looking for? Of the place of the sutra. So certain indicators give places where you can place the sutra. So it doesn't really have much meaning for us now. Okay. So as I was saying, this is a suffix shatru, which makes up sat. So the pratipadika is what is sat. And the sat is derived from the dhatu asdhatu. Asdhatu, which means to be, right? Asdhatu, to be, which is 2p. 2p, to be. Asdhatu, or to exist. So this is really relevant for the Vedanta because we're always talking about existence, right? Being. Now, asdhatu is suffixed with something, meaning we're adding this thing called shatra. Okay, this nasal also is an it letter. It comes and it goes. We don't actually, it doesn't get added to the word. It just shatra. It's that nasal is the Chandra Bindu is a it letter, meaning it comes and goes. And so the shatra, but not only is the Chandra Bindu, the shakara, there's a lot of it letters, if I'm going to say that. Finally, the content is only at. So what do we have to get rid of? We have to get rid of this shakara and the r with the nasal. So finally, you only have at. Okay. So as plus at. How does that become sat? There's a long process. There's some modifications that take place that are beyond our scope. We don't need to know that. All we need to know is us plus the shatra becomes sat. Okay, if we go into the process, then we'll take 2 hours just learning about the process. And that's not really our scope right now, right? Now, this suffix so gives the sense of one who is doing something. Okay, so one who is doing or one who is blank blank ing. Okay, so what I mean by here, sat, when I make the word sat, we can't say to do being, right? Or one who is doing being. We just say one who is be and then ing, being. Right? One who is existing. So it gives that sense of one who is doing something or one. So now that it refers to a person, it refers to an entity. It becomes a noun. So for example, we'll see some other words, right? Like this word pachat. right? Pachat. Now this is pach dhatu, right? Pach dhatu means to cook. But when I add shatru, it becomes a noun, one who is cooking, right? Pashyat, this is drish dhatu, right? Pashya. I really have pashyati. But if we add drish dhatu plus shatru, then it's one who is seeing. So this the suffix gives of the ing kind of meaning. One who is ing. Dhyay dhatu, dhyayat, one who is meditating. Sta dhatu, one who is standing. Right? So now this refers to a person or to an entity, to a noun. Okay, so hope that makes sense. Now, how does this form takes place? Now, this is exactly the same as mat, as just like Sat-śabdha, but one is different. Okay, but it happens the same way as Sat-śabdha. So now we have to remember what happens in Sat-śabdha. In Sat-śabdha, in this section is called Sarvanamasthana, right? We've seen that. This Sarvanamasthana section, we get the addition of a nakara. Na. That's why we get Bhagavan, Bhagavanto, Bhagavantaha. But the word is Bhagavat, right? We add this nakara in this section. Okay, so that's why you see Santo, Santaha, Santam, Santo. One is just sun, and we'll see why in a moment, but let's just take it as sun. Okay. Now, if we know sun, and this section is we add the nasal, and then the rest we don't add the nakara. Right? So knowing that, we should be able to look at this chart and decline it. Yeah, does that make sense? Okay. 1-1, sun. Right? Sat becomes sun. We add the nakara, it becomes sant, then ta gets removed. Okay? Sun. Then santo. Sun. Right? So then same thing here. Sat, we add the nakara, becomes sant, right? Sant plus aha, santaha. Sant, right? We're adding a nakara, so sant plus santam. Sant plus o, santo. Now we don't add a nakara anymore. So sataha. Sata. Here the takara becomes dakara because of jashtva sandhi. Takara becomes dakara, same as Bhagavad Bhyam, we saw the ta becomes da. Marud Bhyam, we saw that takara becomes dakara. It becomes a soft consonant. That ta is said to be a hard consonant. It becomes a soft consonant when it meets the Bhyam bis section. This pada section, we call it, right? So, sadbhyam, sadbihi. Then sate, takara, sadbhyam, sadbhyaha. Sataha. Okay, we're going to hear sataha a lot today in Vedanta class, so note that, right? Where can you see sataha? Sadbhyam, sadbhyaha. Sataha, satoho, satam. Sati, Sati Saptami. Have you ever heard Sati Saptami? This is where Sati. Sati, Satoho, Satsu. This is also part of the Sarvanamastana, or sorry, it's part of the Pada section, but it doesn't become da, it goes back to Takara. So it's Satsu. Satsu. Again, this is building on what we've done. Okay, so this is right. So now we have made this form. Now someone asked in the chat, is this a gerund? What we call a gerund in English. Gerund is where you get the ing. It's not a gerund. Why it's not a gerund is because when you have a gerund, so for example, if I just say cooking, cook becomes cooking. Now that still just refers to the action in itself, right? Cooking, eat, eating. But now I'm not just saying the action, I'm saying one who is eating. One who is, so it's a person. Now I'm talking about the person, not the action. So when I say pachat, I'm saying one who is cooking, not just cooking, okay? So just to make that differentiation. Okay, just quickly, how does Sat become Sun in 1-1? So first of all, we can remember how Bhagavat, right? Let's look at Bhagavat quickly. Okay, Bhagavat 1-1, right? We add Su, Ojas, we add Su, so Sakara. Su of 1-1 is always removed, so it just becomes Bhagavat. I know we're doing Sat, but you'll see why it's very similar. Now, in Mat and Sat, Pratipadika, Sarvanamasthana, you get an extra letter Na inserted. So it becomes Bhagavant. Okay. Here, this is peculiar to Mat, to Bhagavat, that being Mat ending in 1-1, the before the Na becomes Dirga, becomes long. So it becomes Bhagavant. And then being the last letter of a conjunct consonant, right? That nakara and takara that are stuck together, the ta gets removed. Okay, so you just have Bhagavan. Okay, now. For what time? Oh. And so now what we are doing is very similar. We see sun. Okay. So first I have Sat. I add this Sakara for 1-1, which then gets removed. So I'm just left with Sat, right? Now, being in the similar section of Bhagavan, Bhagavat and Sat, I get the Nakara in the Sarvanamasthana. So then I get Sant. Now, when you have a conjunct consonant, meaning when you have those two letters together at the end, that last of the conjunct consonant goes, right? Bhagavant, it was. And then the takara goes, Bhagavan. Here, Sant, and the takara goes. And so we're just at Sun. So the only difference between this and Bhagavan is that you don't get that long ah. It doesn't become. Before Bhagavant became Bhagavant and then Bhagavan. Here, that dirga process doesn't happen. Okay, it doesn't become San. That would be Japanese then. No, it's still Sun in Japanese, actually. Okay, the rest is like Marut. meaning that this takara becomes dakara, just like marud. Marud, bhyam, marud, bhyam, bihi. Right? Similar here, we have sad, bhyam, sad, bihi. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. If you want to chant this a few times, we can do that. I think we're okay so far, but let me know in the chat. We can review it. It's helpful to know some dhatus because then we can immediately get some of these words. Right? One who is doing X, Y, Z. But what I want to do today is we're going to see this verse in Vedanta class. Nasato vidyate. Oh, we have one question. Let me take the question before I do this. Harprasadji, you can go ahead and mute yourself.
Yes, sir. I'm a little bit confused about the it letter here. I'm quite familiar with the Maheshwara Sutra and its it letter, but here, for example, in the Bhagavad-Shabdha, in 1.1, Supratya without it is sufficient for declension. Now, that I do, okay, where does it say that the sup pratyaya just says su with a Chandra Bindu?
Yeah, so that u is the it letter, becomes then just sakara.
U is the it letter.
U with the nasal, that goes together.
Okay, how do we know that? Where does it say?
Yeah, it doesn't say. This is just, we know by tradition that that's the it letter. So just like su o jas, the jakara becomes, is the it letter, and that goes away. So su o jas, right, becomes su o us, or sa o us. How do we know that? It's because it's just told to us.
It was told to us, I see.
There might be a better answer to that, but as far as I know, I think it's just tradition that we know which is it letter and which is not.
I see. Is there any table which says that, for example, just becomes us?
No, and there's no sutra even also about that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no table, but we have the original Maheshwara Sutra, and we do have this table, which is on the screen without the it letters. So using some subtraction, we can figure out which were the it letters and which are not.
All right. Okay. Dhanyavadaha Mahodaya.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to go to Bhagavad Gita, but this is Bhagavad Gita Sanskrit version. We won't do this in Sanskrit class, okay? So I have to hold myself back. Okay, so I'll just chant the verse. Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtontaha. So this verse is one of the most significant in the chapter 2, in the whole teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. It presents Satya Mithya, which we will see in Vedanta class. Here we just want to look at the analysis of the words. And here we see some words. We see Sataha and we see Asataha. Okay, so have we seen Sataha today? Yeah, Sataha. We've seen Sataha in a few places in our chart, right? We've seen Sataha in a few places. We see Sataha 1-3 Sataha, 5-1 Sataha, 6-1 Sataha. Or sorry, 2-3 Sataha, 5-1, 6-1. Not 1-3. Can't be 1-3 because you get the nakara in the Sarvanamastha. Okay? So here, this first section is na asataha vidyate bhavaha. That's one sentence. Okay, so do you see a verb in this? Yeah, you see a verb, vidyate. Now, this is different than our back of the book Sanskrit questions because the verb is not at the end. We know the verb is at the end, and so that's easy, but sometimes it doesn't happen like that, right? Most of the time, it's not always like that. So vidyate. Vidyate, now, this is not vid dhatu to know, this is vid dhatu to be, for a to exist. So that's something important to know. There's two vids. Vid, which is ninth gana, is to know, but vid, which is fourth gana, fourth group, is to exist. Just like asti or bhavati. For a to exist, lat lakara kartari prayoga, third one. Okay. Now we need a 1-1 to go with. We need a first case. Oh, so first of all, how do you know if this is kartriya karmani? You don't know because it's 4a. Fourth gana gives the yakara, so it can be kartri or karmini, and it will look exactly the same. But that's okay. We know it's kartri. We're talking about something is. I don't think you can even have a karmani version of vidyate. Actually, it doesn't make much sense. Now, what is? Now you need a singular, or you need a 1-1 to go with this. Now, can asataha be 1-1? So asataha, by the way, is just sataha with an in front of it. Obviously. Sataha means what? That which is a being. One who is being, one who is existing. Now, asataha means na sataha iti asataha. That which is not, one who is not being or not existing. Now here, we're not saying, here it just says one, right? Sataha means one who is existing. But in this context, without any qualifier, right? We're not saying one who is existing for a certain period of time. We're to say one who is existing. And one who is existing always is what we call existence. Existence. So we can say sataha is existence, asataha, or sorry, sat is existence, asat is non-existence. Okay, just to make it a little easier. So asataha can't be 1-1 because, right, 1-1 of would be asan, right? Like sun, santo, santaha. It can't be 1-3 because you don't have the nakara in there. So it has to be 2-3, 5-1, 6-1. So that can't be our 1-1. But we have bhavaha. Bhavaha is just like ramaha, meaning existence. Bhava is the pratipadika. Kartari, this is kartari pratama to vidyate. So meaning there is existence. This won't have much meaning now in this class, but we're going to give it meaning in Vedanta class, so don't worry. There is existence. But we have to see na vidyate. There is no, existence. Bhavaha na vidyate. There is no existence, or existence is not there. Existence is not there. Existence is not there. Asataha. Okay, so asataha can be second case. And just thinking about that, do we see that this would be an object of any action? I know there's other meanings that you can get of the second case, but let's just think about that for a second, right? You can't really have an object of isness, right? There exists existence, and then we would say what, 5-1 is the next thing that it can be, right? There is no existence from asat. Now the meaning that we have here is actually the sixth case. This word means mithya, which we'll see later, but this is sambandhe shashti to bhavaha. So the meaning here is that asat, na vidyate, right? Bhavaha. Existence is not there. Existence is not there for asat. Okay, existence is not there for asat. I know it doesn't mean much, but that's what we'll figure out what this means. But existence is not there for asat, non-existence. Non-existence does not have existence. Now, same thing with this sentence here. So here's that first sentence. There is no non-existence, no, this one. There is no existence of asat. Asat being mithya. We haven't seen mithya yet, but there is existence. There is no existence of mithya, of asat. Now, this first part of the sentence, though, which we haven't seen, nasato vidyate, or sorry, the second part of the sentence, nabhavo vidyate sataha. Again, vidyate, now we know vidyate, right? Viddhatu, to exist, lat kartari, third one. Now, na vidyate, right? Na is an avyaya word, right? Not. So there is not. Now again, can sataha be in the first case at all? Right, after we find the dhatu, we always have to find the first case. Can sataha be in the first case? No, it can't be the first case. Now, when we only knew Sat-śabdha, you might have thought, why can't this be first case? But now we know, right, when it's Sat Pratipadika, 1-1 is San, Santo, Santaha, Santam, Santo, then Sataha, 2-3, or then 5-1, Sataha, 6-1, Sataha. There is not abhavaha. Abhavaha means non-existence. There is not non-existence. Abhava pratipadika kartari pratama to vidyate. This is 1-1. There is not non-existence for what or of what? Of sataha, of the real. Sambandhe shashti to abhavaha. There is not non-existence of the real. This is like a big puzzle. What is, it's like purnamadav purnamidam. Doesn't mean too much, but we wanted to see the Sanskrit of this right now, right? Vidyate na vidyate. There is not abhavaha na vidyate. There is not non-existence. Kasya Sataha, of the real. There's not non-existence of the real. Okay. So, and then the last part of the sentence we're not going to see, but I just wanted to show you. So, there is no non-existence of the real, and there is no existence of the unreal. Okay. I just want to show you this because this is why this is relevant. We're learning words that are going to be in our Vedanta class, and then we'll fill them in with meaning in the Vedanta class. Where can we find the list of Pratipadika, like what's on the screen? There's that Meda Michikaji made that Bhagavad Gita grammatical analysis book. I don't know if you've gotten that book. That book has each verse laid out like this. Each verse up through 6th chapter. So we'll end here. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So the homework for this is this exercise number 40. We'll go over these as well in our next class. Because it's a little bit peculiar how to translate these. But just for example, I know we're out of time, but Bhaktaha son. Son means being, right? So being a Bhakta, Saha karoti, he does karma yoga. Being a Bhakta, he does karma yoga. Bhaktaha santaha, being Bhaktas, they kurvanti, they do karma yoga. So this son has the meaning of being. So being something. Okay? So these two words would have samanadhikara. Bhaktaha santaha, by the way. Okay? So just when you're doing that homework, that might be helpful. We'll also go over these in the next class as well. Okay? We'll take a 5-minute break, come back for Bhagavad Gita.